Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast, episode 113. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
It's a lucky number.
Is it?
I don't know. 13's always been a lucky number for me. Everyone says it's a bad number, but I was born on the 13th. I've had several Friday the 13th birthdays. They were fantastic.
But did you cross black cats on Friday the 13th?
I literally have a black cat. It crosses my path every day. So,
well, I mean, then you're just doubling down on your luck.
I love it. I love it. So anyways, what are we talking about today, Tommy?
Well, you got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about some Star Wars Unlimited because it is all my brain can think about right now. Got some news about that and how it is still available but may not be very long. But then it will definitely be back, I'm sure. So if you want boxes in the near future, I would grab them. But we'll get into that in a little bit. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I also played some Star Wars Unlimited. I went to a draft, and then I played a game kitchen table style with a friend yesterday. So can talk about that. Had a heavy hitters draft camp for a buddy who is going to Pro Tour LA next week, going to compete in the Pro Tour for Flesh and Blood. So he needed some practice. So we did 2 drafts back to back of heavy hitters. It was a ton of fun. Got to use our Play Anywhere feature on Gem. So I ran my first Gem tournament, which was kind of cool, using our content creator abilities to run events.
That's funny. That's awesome.
So ran 2 of those. I got the bye twice. It was fun.
And I got to play a ton of Magic, 11 hours straight yesterday. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Anything else? Is that all the topics?
I think so. We just talked about it, but then...
we'll talk about some market news and what's going on with the market.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Yeah. Later on.
Yeah.
So stick around if you care about that stuff.
Yeah, we'll do a whole...
interesting dynamics happening in the world.
Yeah, for a bunch of different games. So, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with what we played? Do you want to talk about your 11 hours of Magic?
Yes, 11 hours of Commander. It was fantastic.
Holy moly.
I am so in love with Commander again. It's ridiculous. Like, my brain is all there. So I have a bunch of decks. You know me, I can't help but build a lot of decks. And this is a game where that actually works out because you kind of want to tune what you're playing to what other people want to play, and everyone kind of gets a sense of their other decks, so that it's a fair and fun game. And with this group, they're all like casual style. They're very good. All of them, all their decks are better than all mine, so they're very good at what they do. But they aren't like rec EDH. They aren't net decking. They're just like building decks with what they have, and they're just really good at the game they've been playing forever. And it's one of those things where everyone wants it to be fun. So they tune down too, right? They're like, okay, we won't hit you. Like, we'll be nice. We'll give you a chance to get your board state out because your ramp is too slow. Things like that, right? They just play to make sure everyone has a good time. And it works really well. And of course, one of them is like the 10-year-old. I actually don't know how old he is. He's 8 to 10, somewhere in that range. He's a youngin'. And he's
definitely not.
What?
Definitely he was 8 when I met him. And
that's been a couple of years. 10 to 12 at this point. Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't keep track.
No, it's hard. It's I get it. It's hard.
He's a young lad that is learning Magic, and he's very good at the game.
Which is so cool. It's so good.
It's so fun, and he played the full time. Like, we did 11 hours straight with 2 half-hour breaks to eat, and he was at the table the whole time having a good time. He only got upset once. And he did a really good job playing the game. And even when he got upset, he bounced back real quick and he changed his attitude and had a good time, even though he knew he was going to be a losing deck. Basically what happened is one of the players was like, yeah, we're kind of tuning it down because John can't play. It wasn't quite that, but they said it in a nicer way, but it was basically that. And he was kind of trying to explain it to the young lad because we didn't want to, he doesn't know, right? He doesn't know how to tune down or anything. He's young. He's just trying to win and play and stuff. And he's a good sport and all that. But it's one of those things where he didn't really realize that he kept bringing out his like monster deck that was crushing everything and they were tuning down. So it was literally just like, he just kept wiping the board and we're like, can we play a game? Can you tone it down a little bit? So anyways, one of them bought the Slivers Precon deck for me, right? So they sleeved that up and gave it to him. And it's a Precon. And he's used to playing with super tuned decks, and his board crushing one is a
Mhm.
CEDH, not quite CEDH, but close to it.
Yeah.
So he's used to like superpower and good ramp and all this stuff. And now he's playing a precon and he got upset.
That's
That's what upset him because he had never played a bad deck before.
that's so funny.
So he got his face smashed by his dad, of course.
Yeah.
And that upset him, but he recovered. And I was like, yeah, you see how I'm playing? Because I actually was playing one of the precons from the Commander Master set as well. Just I want to see how it played natural before I start tweaking it. It's the Enchantress one.
Mhm.
And I was like, now you see how I've been playing today. Like I'm mostly doing similar. Like my decks aren't that far off of precon, and I'm just slowly tuning them. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the next game, he was, it's really cute when kids kind of like they're learning, and you can tell he starts saying the same things I was saying all day, like, oh, I got to do my thing. That's great. Like that's my win is that I got to do the thing. And so he's like, my slivers came out and did their thing. It was really cool. I was like, exactly. You can lose and still have a good time. Like it's fine. Which he isn't a sore loser. When he loses with his big decks, he's very gracious about it. It's just being smashed the way he was because it was a precon.
Yeah.
He was not ready for that. So he was a little upset, but he bounced back really fast and started having a good time, even though he knew he was going to lose. He's like, I got to do my thing with this sliver, and it's really, crazy, and you can't destroy them. Ha ha ha. Slivers are ridiculous. I hate them. But it was good to see him play a tuned down deck, and it also allowed me to play some other stuff. It was fun though. No one realized it. And I'm going to claim that this was a full-on strategy. I came to the day with it. But I started with my weakest decks. So everyone started to pity me because they knew my deck sucked. And then slowly by the end of the day, I was ramping up to my more powerful decks. So by the end, everyone kept leaving me alone, assuming that every deck I had was terrible. And I was using Sky Noodle at the end, and I crushed them because they gave me a chance to get a board state. So it was all a long con. Yeah, it's a strategy from the beginning to the end. I just I tricked them into pitying me, and then I destroyed them all. But yeah, I did walk away with a couple wins, even though my decks aren't great. I had a mermaid win where one guy just scooped. He's like, nope, your counters are too strong. I actually found out later that I was cheating. Didn't realize. Yeah, the trigger didn't work the way I thought it did. I thought it was for each, and it was once per. Now I still had a way to stack up mermaids, which I could sacrifice to do a counter spell. It's like cost one more counter spell. But I didn't have nearly as many as I did when I did that to him, and he just scooped. He's like, nope, I can't catch up with this. That's too crazy. I did get out all the what do they call those? The lords or whatever, where they affect all other mermaids.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a thing. So went really well with the mermaid deck. Way more powerful than I thought it was going to be. Definitely has some room for improvement. Enchantress deck is my new fascination, and then I got some tweaking to do on a couple other decks. I got to fix the mana base in Dina, and my ones that I did work on, the Beast one, Radagast is going well.
Hey.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I could probably tweak it a little bit more, get a little more consistency, because one game it basically got to 5 mana and froze. I was like, what? The first game, it ramped perfect. Like the whole thing worked. It was beautiful. It was like a charm. The second game, I gambled because I had one of those, like, it's a 1 mana, but if you pay a mana, it can be 2 of the colors, right, that I need. And it will give you 2. So it was like, all I need is 1 mana to do it, right? And I never found the second mana for 5 or 6 turns. It was crazy. Eventually, and this is one reason why the young lad was in my good graces, he did one of those effects where it like gets rid of something, but then gives you mana or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he's like, go get mana. I was like, yes. And I was off to the races. So by their turn 12, I was at turn 5. I counted it that way. I was like, this would be a great turn 5. Everyone's like,
turn 12.
Yeah, exactly. So it needs a little work, clearly. But anyways, lots of fun stuff there. Really good time. Got to play against a Mothman deck, which is the Fallout.
Oh,
deck.
yeah.
It's hilarious. Oh my God. It gives everyone radiation. And then there's all these like synergies around the radiation. The radiation, you might actually like this.
Was it the Fallout precon?
Yeah, no, he had tweaked it,
Okay.
and it was a combo of things, but it was the base was similar, right? Because a lot of the cards that work off rads are just Fallout cards, right? So rads, essentially you mill off the top, and if it's a land, you keep the rad and don't take damage, and if it's a non-land, then you drop down a rad, it decays, and you take a damage, right? And then his commander, I think, gets more powerful each time that hits, right?
Yeah.
So and he has all the synergies to create a ton of rads. I think at one point we were like, we need to make a max rad counter. Like, what's your high score on rads? Because it was funny. The whole table's getting these rads, and it's right after you draw, so it's immediate. Like you don't get to do anything except instances right beforehand. And so it was like a fun little mini game. And we had more than one game where people died to the rads. Like it got down to one life and the rads killed them. And then we had one game where I think everyone died to the rads, including him. It was hilarious. Like the last player, and we flipped it because we were like, okay, well, you win because everyone else died to radiation. But let's see if you would have died and flipped it, and they would have died too. So it was like literally everyone just died of radiation poisoning. It was really funny. There was a lot of goofy stuff. Yeah, that guy, he likes to make, I wouldn't say like meme decks because they're very functional. Like he's very good at constructing decks, but they're definitely like he makes decks that are funny, and he'll keep a hand when he does the mulligan because we do free mulligans just so everyone can start with something useful. He always tries to find the hand that's like a funny hand. So he's like, oh, that's not a very funny start. So let's try something else. And he'll grab a different hand that's just a more funny start. So it's a lot of fun. It's a very good natured group, and I really enjoy playing with them. So it's been it's all over my head. Now I'm like listening to YouTube and like how to be better at creating decks and what sorts of things. And there's actually a lot of stuff has changed since I was into it last, as far as the speed of the games,
Sure.
I guess. And granted, maybe I was just really bad then too, but the reality is like there's a lot more ability to ramp in multiple colors, right? Which I guess was kind of there before, but I guess everyone is doing it. So you have to do it to keep up or you will lose. And that's something I didn't really take into consideration, because every color has ramp now to a significant level. So it's like you basically one mana a turn is too slow, period. Like you have to be more than that in every deck, period. Like there's no way around it.
That's crazy.
So yeah, exactly. So the games are a lot faster, which is actually kind of good because I think they were a little slow back at the beginning of COVID when we were playing on camera and stuff.
Yeah, it was a while.
They were slow. Yeah. So I actually like that. But yeah,
you're gonna
was that?
I think you might like how Twin Suns does it then.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm very curious. It seems like because you were talking about speed of game and how games end. I'm very curious to hear your take on this. So in Twin Suns, sorry, we're gonna go back to Magic.
Yeah.
But just seemed like the right time to ask this. So in Twin Suns, which is the Commander style multiplayer format for Star Wars Unlimited, once a player's base has been reduced to 0 HP, that player is eliminated and can't take any more actions. The player who eliminated them immediately heals 5 damage to their own base. At that point, the game continues until the end of the current phase. At the end of the phase, after any lingering card abilities are resolved, the player with the most HP remaining on their base wins the game.
Oh, Lord.
So it's
first death is end of game.
First death is end of game.
Wow.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'd have to play it to really see how that plays out. Because that could be awesome, the person could be painful.
Yeah, the person who gets the kill gets a 5 health bonus. And then the person who has the most health after that turn is technically phased. So like you play out the rest of that whole turn.
And that's like a 4-player, right? That's the vision on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tricky. I don't know if that's any good because I don't know. It's hard to say.
But it's speed of game. It helps speed of game.
Well, definitely good for speed of game.
And
no doubt about
then you
that.
don't
Plus
have
story, right? Everyone doesn't get wiped out in every war. So I like that. Theme on theme. Totally.
And also just the social aspect, thinking about like one person gets knocked out early, they're then sitting around for a half hour to 45 minutes when they're there to play games with their friends.
Oh, that's fair. That's actually a really good one. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So it just keeps
I might like
playing.
it. I worry if it puts you in a state of this game is over for me early, but you have to keep playing because you're so far behind, even though you're not dead. It's like even if you killed someone else, 5 points isn't enough for you to win.
Well, then that maybe changes the politics and forces you to attack the person with more health opposed to knocking out the person.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So it kind of controls the politics. It's
hard to say though because like there's no blocking, so it kind of doesn't matter.
Sentinel.
Yeah, but that's not that. I mean, unless you have a Sentinel deck, I feel like that's not really it's not optional blocking.
Sure.
It's blocking when you have it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd have to play it to see how that actually plays out, because that could be great. I mean, I think for all the reasons you listed, that part is great. Like you're not sitting around and all that. Fantastic. Because you're right. That is terrible when you like get knocked out early and it's 45 minutes till people finish their game.
Right. I wonder if they're setting this up in a way to do how there's like CEDH. Not that would be CEDH level for this game. Obviously, it's just brand new. But have been able to run Twin Suns events and reining in time.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Yeah, that makes sense. It's good. I mean, it sounds like it's got some promising things.
Yeah.
I've
yet to play it. I keep talking about it. I really want to. But maybe on Tabletop Simulator.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like together. Really out yet, though, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Mm-hmm. I thought they're not waiting. I thought they were waiting for a bigger pool. Oh no, that's right. No, they're limiting the deck size. That's what it is. Yeah. That's right. Until the new pool comes out,
they're doing it really smart.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In my mind, I was like, it'll be months before we actually play it because it's not actually viable yet. Like I was thinking set 2 or whatever, but I'll play it before then if people want to.
Yeah. I have a couple of people who are interested.
Cool. Yeah, I love those social games. I'd rather that where you can tune it to your friends and just you can choose how to pick on people and what you do to make it more fun for everyone.
Yeah,
I like that. That's definitely my jam. I don't care about competitive anymore. I'm too old for all that nonsense. I just like casual games where I get together and have a good time and funny things happen. Like everyone's laughing. That's what I like.
It is funny though. So I'm going into this game trying to not be competitive, right? And then
how's that going for you?
Not great.
Yeah, of course it's you.
It's just I guess I'm more surprised about who this game is pulling in. When I went to draft on Tuesday, there were 21 people for Star Wars, and there were maybe 2 or 3 other people that knew what draft entailed and how to draft.
Right on. Yeah.
Because a lot of the players that had pulled in were Lorcana players, which I found very interesting. Like people that didn't play card games, didn't know Magic, knew how to play Lorcana. Like those people are out there. Those people are in TCG stores now.
Yeah, Lorcana created a whole new population. That's what we talked about. And the fact they're jumping games, I'm like, yep, that's inevitable.
Yeah,
because it gets so far, you solve it, in your head, and you're looking for that puzzle again.
Yeah, and I basically had to teach my table and run my table for how to draft, like taking out the leaders, drafting the leaders, and then taking out the cards, drafting the cards, which way to pass, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So then that kind of tipped me off to maybe they were a lot more casual than I was expecting, I guess. So I went in there with a casual mindset, but won 3-0 and didn't drop a game. So I went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And was almost holding back. It's just a lot of these players drafting is new to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so they just end up with and just having that draft experience from Flesh and Blood, it really makes, and this game just lends itself to drafting really well. And I did find it really interesting being able to see everyone's leaders, because I had Boba and no one else at my table had Boba.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went Boba. And then yellow was just open. And then
because no other leaders were yellow, or because people didn't realize, or what?
There were other yellow in the leaders, but they were like Thrawn and heroes that I didn't think a newer player would go for.
Yeah, too confusing, or they just
and
don't know
Boba's,
what they don't know.
Yeah, and being able to have Boba and his resource ability in a limited format seemed super strong to me. So I just was kind of going to force it anyways, and then it was open like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I could actually like trim my deck down to 30, opposed to like trying to make
get
cards
it.
work.
Yeah.
But met some really nice people, and it was a ton of fun. So, but it'll be interesting because this week is going to be Premiere, so pre-constructed decks. So we shall see how this week goes.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got 3 decks built.
And they are
mid-range Boba, control Iden, and aggro Sabine.
I thought you said Iden was crap.
No, Iden's my little love.
Oh, maybe I'm mixing it up. Was it? What was the one you said was crap?
Chewbacca.
No, I didn't
tried
say
him
Chewbacca.
first.
It was at our table. Like when you and I were playing at my house. There was one I pulled. I thought it was Iden, and you were like, "That one's crap."
Was it
Wasn't
the? Who was it?
I don't know.
Sharut?
I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar.
Blue white, and it gives for an action give a unit +2 health for this phase.
Oh no! You know what it was? It was the assassin droid.
Oh, IG-88. Yeah, he's the worst.
Yes, that's what it was.
He's
Yeah. Now I remember. I had to think about it, but yeah. It was the assassin droid you said was crap. Yeah. Not Iden. I think
really
I might have
bad.
had Iden as well, but we were talking about the assassin droid.
Yeah, Iden is the control, and I think she's pretty hard in limited unless it's pretty open, because you really need those bombs at the end to close out. Otherwise, you just don't have a way to finish. So you're required, where Boba kind of lets you overwhelm. Like the win con is kind of built into the hero, opposed to Iden's just keeps the game going. So I feel in limited, it's best to be on the aggressive side in this game.
I mean, the whole game is better to be on the aggressive side because you can't block.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Because there's so much.
You can't block. You can always go at the base. So as long as you can get actions.
Well, it's managing your opponent's board state, and then your blocking is also by removal, using removal.
Yeah. Well, so here's the okay. There's removal. You're right about that. I was talking to my sorcerer guy, which I also played this week, and he was at the DD draft or whatever.
Yeah, we played
pre-release. Yeah, he was saying. I told him that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, one of the games I played, the guy just went for my base and won. And I was like, because I was talking about how I had a hard time not being able to block because I'm so used to that. And like, I couldn't get my head around being ahead of what was about to come because I'm so used to being able to block,
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it's a mental paradigm shift. He's like, my second series games, whatever, 3, best of 3. He's like, I just got smashed because the guy just went straight for my base and I couldn't do anything about it. he's like, I guess that is the goal, isn't it? Is to just blow up the base, right? And it's like when you draft, if you don't get the things that remove stuff, you just lose, right? There's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, and I think the best of 3 is a whole thing because, and just going for base a lot and then removal is kind of what you're supposed to do because the games are supposed to be 20-minute games.
Yeah.
Because you have 55 minutes to get best of 3.
Yeah, it's like ramp board state base damage if you can get extra base damage or control plus base damage. Like what was that one where you hit something and it does damage to the base anyways? Yeah. It was a red card. I can't remember, but Sabine, Oh, Sabine. Was it Sabine?
Sabine's unit.
Oh yeah, the unit. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. I mean that seems to be like your core strategy, and then everything else is a twist on that, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I have sentinels, therefore I can be a little bit more cautious because I have, damage soak shield basically.
Yeah.
Or Luke, I put shields out, which slows down board state management. Therefore, my board state is much.
Or you can take smarter trades and use your units as removal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the core is hit the base with as many units as you can get out as fast as you can get out. So anything that ramps units gives you advantage.
And removes your opponent's units.
Yeah, anything that removes your, because it's all about not card advantage, but action advantage, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, because there's very limited interaction. It's not completely not there, but it's very limited. So it's all about managing the aggro engine because it's just different types of aggro engine. Like if you think about like
absolutely.
Magic works. Yeah. That's why you love it. It's all red decks.
Yeah, it's glorious, John. This game was made for me. You're slowly getting it.
I did. I'm starting to get it.
And the funny thing is, as I'm playing the control deck.
Well, yeah, because there's different types of aggro. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I was like, that's why I struggle with it, because I like the board state, slow build and then come in with a final, and that's just not a thing.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm sure they'll get there. It's a new game, so gotta give it time.
Yeah, there's this card, and the reason I love the Iden control deck is there's this card called the Avenger. It's a Star Destroyer. It costs 9, but when you play it and when you attack with it, an opponent chooses a non-leader unit they control, defeat that unit. So when you play it, it removes a unit, but they get to choose. But this is late in the game, so they're probably expensive units, and it hurts.
Yeah.
And every turn, then you're removing another one just by attacking.
Yeah.
Or just by, and then you can attack the base, and it has 8 attack and 8 health. So it's sticking around the rest of the game, probably.
Gross.
It's fun. It's a good game. I got a game in after, of Premiere, after Heavy Hitters Draft with a friend who brought his deck over. And I asked if he wanted to play one of the 3 decks I built, and he was like, "Oh no, I built a deck out of my sealed and a couple packs that I opened." And I was like, "Are you sure? Like, this is it's not." I warned him. I was like, "This is gonna be a rough game." He's like, "Oh, it's fine. This is my first one. Like, it's fine."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay." It was over very quickly.
Yeah, I bet so. Yeah. That's so funny.
But yeah, I've opened a lot of Star Wars boxes.
Yeah, what are you at now?
19.
And I have another case waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord, man. I thought you were only going to get a case or 2.
Yeah, that changed. John, this game's good. It's fun. And it's collectible.
Brand new, man. Give it a second. Give it a second.
It's collectible.
Tommy's like, no.
It's good. No. And I can't do it. I can't because there may not be more boxes until June.
What? All right. Now we got to talk about that.
Yeah. So there was
Don't believe Tommy.
No. There was a post on Reddit, so it has to be true.
Right. Yeah. Definitely not a place where you advertise or hype, and their IPO is this year based on the ability to advertise on that platform.
Correct. Store owner was going to order more from Asmodee, but they are sold out of boxes. Southern, the distributor, has said that they aren't getting more until maybe June, which would make sense because the second set comes out in July, and with the hype of the second set, I'm sure Asmodee wants boxes available.
Now, this is all just posts, so none of this is confirmed, right? This is like rumor mill stuff on the internet.
This so far, yeah.
Okay, just making sure we have context.
I'm just adding my.
These are not hard facts.
These are not hard facts, but there are multiple sources.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. But take it with the grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt, and because there is also good news that I will end with this.
Yep.
Southern has said they aren't getting more until June. And then, where was it? Someone else said, from our local game store, they said they were able to get a decent restock because they did sell out of boxes, but this is also a store that opened a lot for singles and is selling singles. We have a decent restock of boosters and starter sets, but these will be the last boosters that we can restock for a while. The first print is apparently sold out through the manufacturer level. And when you go to Asmodee's website, you can't order boxes. It is sold out. And then because I guess Asmodee is also the distributor, and stores can order directly from Asmodee.
Mm-hmm.
And the shop side is also sold out. So usually the customer side will sell out before the shop side. But again, it's only week 1. Maybe it gets replenished. And I did mention a good thing. Boxes are still under MSRP on TCG Player.
Yeah, supply's still finding its way.
Supply's still fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah. So sure. And honestly, resupply rumors from distro. We've been burned by this many times. So
what I'm saying is boxes are still at a good price. So if you are interested in the game, I would pick up a box or two.
Yeah.
Is all I'm
I
saying.
agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it may be more like MSRP, which is 120 by the time we get closer to the next set. I could see that. Because a lot of these things, so I've opened all those boxes and I've been starting to catalog them in the collector app. And I just did my big hits, right? And it basically recouped or is over the amount that I've spent on boxes.
I mean, if you sell them.
If I sell them, yes.
And then there's liquidity to worry about. How many people are buying singles like that?
That's the thing. Look on TCG Player. They are selling quite a bit. Even Vader at 72, 76, 75. It's usually hovering around the 70, but people are buying a lot of Vaders. And it's interesting because some people are buying one and some people are buying playsets of 3. And that's just for the base Vader. Base unit Vader.
Yeah, that's pretty good sell through, right? Yeah, I'm flipping through right now.
And then even the hyperfoil or hyper.
Well, that's
version,
what I was looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, the hyper is much more expensive. It's $100 for.
It's a slower sell through rate too, but that's expected. It's still decent. It's still like 5 or 6 a day, so it's not nothing for sure.
Right. Like I do have I pulled a total of 6 Vaders, including 1 hyperspace foil, and so I am looking to move a playset of regular Vaders. So there is a bunch that I'm willing, like duplicates that I'm willing to sell and going to be selling, and have friends who are interested in building decks and looking for cards. So I am going to be moving some of it. Like I also pulled a full playset of the Boba Fett hyperspace that are going for 65 each. And then I think I have about 8 or 9 of the regular Boba Fett's, which are $45 each. So 2 playsets of those I can let go. I have multiple playsets of Luke. And that showcase that you, or the hyperspace that you pulled, is now up to like $44.
Nice.
And then just a lot of the, like even the base Luke is up to $30. And then there's a lot of hyperspace and hyperspace foil rares, even uncommons, playables that are holding like that $5 to $10 range, which is pretty crazy. And then the lands as well, or the bases. The hyperspace bases are doing well, especially the rare ones.
Really? I'm a little surprised by that because when we went through them, they didn't seem like the value was really there as far as gameplay functionality capability.
The Tarkin Town hyperspace is sitting at $17.
That was the one we said was the one good one?
No, that's Energy Conversion Lab.
Because there was one that was like, yeah, that's good, but everything else was like, eh.
Yeah, it's a $15 card as well. So it's actually a little bit less, which is surprising. But they even have the weekly play promos on here already on TCG Player, which is surprising. And those are doing really well.
Yeah.
Especially the playable ones, because they're alternate arts and they're like framed differently. Like they have the main aspect color border, and those have a chance to be foil as well. Those are those little 3-card packs. I opened one and put up a short if anyone's interested.
Oh, cool.
I got a Luke's lightsaber, which is super cool looking. They're all extended art, hyperspace. But then you can also, this is how you get the hyperspace versions of the starter kit only cards. So like I Am Your Father, Leia Organa, R2, C-3PO, Admiral Modi. Those are all the cards that are like, and Darth Vader's lightsaber. Those are the cards that are only in the starter decks. And so there's no way, you can't get them in the booster boxes. So you can't get hyperspace versions of them. But now you can with the play promos. And you get one just for showing up to an event.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so everyone walks away with something cool. And I think the cheapest one is like C-3PO at $2. So So you're walking away with, I don't know, you can open up some nice stuff. Like Bosk is 11, Sabine's 12. And then the foil versions are even more. The foil Sabine's $43 for the play promo.
Now, caveat to all this, don't get hyped like Tommy. Don't FOMO.
I'm not FOMOing.
Oh, no. Just 35 boxes open. Not FOMOing at all. Can definitely sell them all. No problem. You can make your money back. Yeah, no FOMO here.
I just have a lot of friends that are interested in the game.
So reality check, because we've been down this road before.
Yeah.
I know Tommy's in love, and that's fine. Yeah. Just for everyone out there to be mindful. One, boxes will be available again. It's going to happen. They promised it.
Yeah.
And over time, these boxes will go down. We're talking 2-year period. There will be a dip as it gets boring, not interested, new set comes out, all these normal things that happen with every set.
Yeah.
And plus they, have somewhat promised that they're going to keep boxes in the MSRP range. I don't think they said that, but they said they want to make sure there's plenty of supply.
Yes.
They are not looking to have limited boxes like Spike and Sky.
That's why I'm opening all of them.
Exactly. They want it to be realistic.
Yeah.
That said, what does that lead to? What happens when you have plenty of boxes? What happens when you have plenty of boxes and the cards are more expensive than the box? Everyone opens them. Then what happens? The prices come down. So all these things, expect prices to relax.
Yes.
This is the first week, second week. I don't even know.
First week.
First week. Tommy, what's the rule of first week? It's BS. Till you get, I think Rudy says release plus 90 days.
90 days, yeah.
Yeah. So until the next set is out, we won't even really have a good sense of what these actually will be worth inside.
No.
So keep that in mind.
No,
That said, doesn't mean you can't get quick tendies.
No.
It doesn't mean you can't turn this into some profit.
Yes.
It's definitely possible. And there does appear to be some liquidity in the market, which is the biggest good sign. Because if it's a few sales, then you're not selling it at the price you think you are.
No.
If it's a lot of sales, then you have a good chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I plan on my madness around this is I have a lot of people who are interested in playing, and I'm trying to build a community around me of people playing. And then so I have people that would go to events for me but aren't gonna get the decks, aren't going to spend the money on the decks, so then I can just be like, here, play this deck, and then they come and play.
Yep, I will do that.
Yes, exactly.
That is me.
Exactly.
I will play that deck. Whatever, I don't care. You just gotta tell me what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. I just have a lot of friends who are interested in playing the game but don't want to go all in, and I'd like to be able to build multiple decks and just have them ready to go.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to deter from it. This may be.
I was just explaining my situation and why others shouldn't do it.
I just want people to be careful because we've seen this before.
Yeah, and we have seen some weird things with Coalition in the boxes as well.
Coalition, yeah. Coalition. What is it exactly? Because I saw it was like an article or video I think you sent, but I didn't watch it. What was the story?
Yeah, so let me pull it up here.
I'll just summarize it for the.
Basically, if you pull one legendary, you can basically figure out what the other legendaries are in the pack. The regular legendaries, not the ones that are completely random by the foil slot.
Okay.
But the way it works is like if you pull a Boba, you're probably going to find a Luke in that box and a command legendary. And if you find a Vader, you're probably going to find a Mace Windu and a Vigilance. And if you find a Home 1, you're probably going to find a Falcon and an Aggression.
Wow, it's that specific.
Yep. And if you pull a Super Laser Blast, you're likely to pull a Change of Heart and Force Lightning.
So what does this tell everyone?
Open a couple packs and then see what you get, which one you get. Decide to open up the rest of the box. No.
Well, yeah, exactly. And don't buy single packs.
Correct. Buy boxes. Because
buy boxes or cards.
Because I did notice this. I did confirm this in my boxes. It was pretty similar. It's not always the case. It's just you are more likely to have that happen than something else. But I did have boxes with other random, because there are more legendaries than that. So sometimes you get a box with the other ones.
Right.
But I opened a bunch of boxes that had the boba, and so I have way too many bobas. But thankfully, it's one of the most playable cards in the game. So there will be people looking for them.
So how long until they ban stuff?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think they will? I mean, I think every game does eventually, but do you think
I
they
don't
will
think they will
in
set
the
one.
first year? Yeah, let's just say
First year, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not Boba, but if the Vader unit gets too oppressive. Which after set 2, I think more things can break, because I think what's keeping things in check right now is the limited cards in the pool. So you add more cards to the pool, you add more synergy. And then you can have more mono decks. Where like right now, I think the mono boba could be better than the boba command, but there just aren't enough cunning cards to make boba super efficient. But with more tricks and more yellow units, I think it could really get there. Just because of how that deck is just also not very fun to play against, because it just tells your opponent that they can't play the game, because it's a lot of exhaust your enemy unit, and so they come out and then
even less interaction.
and then there's a card called Better Off to Me Dead, I think it is.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
And it exhausts the unit for 2 turns. So it exhausts the unit, and then they don't ready the next phase.
Yeah, that sounds super gross.
Yeah, and it has Han in the Carbonite. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you're out.
I remember that unit. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's fun. That deck is just... I'm worried about that deck.
Yeah.
Next set. But we do have some spoilers for the next set.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got... what is it? We got sleeves and play mats and something else. Let me see if I can find it. There is the there was some board game, trading card game event. I'm trying to remember what it's called. That a bunch of store owners went to. Gama?
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess some fab stuff was shown off there too. But there's a Rancor playmat that's coming out.
Nice.
Along with a Black Saber with Mando playmat.
Nice.
So
that'll be popular.
Yeah, Mando's going to be in the new starter set along with blanking on who else. But then there's Kylo and Ren sleeves. So it makes us think we're getting leaders of them. And then we're also getting... So in the first wave of accessories from GameGenix, they had Luke and Vader sleeves, and then blue and red lightsaber sleeves, and now we're getting green and yellow lightsaber sleeves. So now we have all the colors.
Jedi colors, yeah.
Yeah. And it also the aspect colors, so you can kind of match your aspect.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. But the Black Saber playmat looks incredible. That is one thing. Also, kind of going to the demand of this game, Gamegenic definitely also misunderstood. I'm hearing a lot of things about people finding it difficult to find the tokens, to find the sleeves, to find these playmats.
Well, I don't understand. They just underprinted
Like
it, or
they
what?
just sold out in the first couple days.
Oh, well, that was. I feel like that's a predictable thing, and
Yeah.
that was a big mistake because it's collectible for just Star Wars collectors, not
Yeah.
game, players.
Right.
So I feel like that's an obvious should have been overprinted, but maybe they just weren't sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know they're expensive to make, and they were probably testing demand.
That's true. That is true. This is the first set. I got to give them a
But
little bit of a
they do
break.
have a rule in their event organizer thing where you can only use Star Wars Gamegenic. You can't use Star Wars from other game playmats. It has to be their official playmats or a solid color playmat at events. And sleeves as well. It has to be single color or
I
their
don't
sleeves.
like that at all.
Yep. So no custom sleeves, no custom mats.
I don't like that at all. I think that's a terrible mistake.
It wasn't enforced at all at the events that I've gone to.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might just be like when they have the bigger events, they have that
Yeah.
in place. Because I don't think local game stores are going to really care. But for events that they're going to put people on screens, there can't be any like uh, unusual choices of playmats.
Oh, I see what you mean. Adult.
Yeah. Or
Got it.
waifu.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Adult themed. We don't want adult themed stuff happening. That's on camera.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. Like you
Yeah.
could have a no adult themed stuff. Like keep it PG. There's very
Yeah.
easy ways to make it anything but not. I don't know. I guess it gets a little hard because then is violence count?
And then
I
they
guess
don't, or maybe they don't have a magic mat on the Star Wars, or
who
like
cares? Like
Flesh and Blood, or
now
yeah.
you're
No, I
making
know.
people have to like rebuy stuff that's like not part of the game.
Or just not play with a
Yeah.
mat.
Oh, I guess you could not play with a mat.
Yeah.
It's also annoying because it's hard to pick up cards.
Yes.
I don't like the rule as it stands. I get the premise, and I can see why they would want to enforce some of that stuff. But man, come up with a better way to do it,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But whatever it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So just excited to see what I would imagine it would be like June or May when we start seeing stuff for the next set, but seeing that already is pretty exciting. The set's gonna be called Shadows of the Galaxy.
Is it going to be themed around the bad guys?
I'm sure it'll have both.
I mean, it has to have both to
Yeah.
a degree, but is it going to be like a big Empire-ish or bad guys theme? So maybe First Order, Empire, all that stuff.
It seems
Maybe the
like
scoundrels.
the Mandoverse and the new trilogy.
Okay, got it.
Because the first set was the original trilogy and Andor.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So it seems like they kind of picked two things to kind of build it around. But I mean, there was also some Rebel stuff and some Clone Wars, and
Yeah, I mean,
so I
they're
think
always
there's always
they'll
going to be
splash other
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm not saying they wouldn't. Just that, is that how they're gonna theme it going forward?
right. But just seeing you would think that they would use art from cards because they did for the first set on their accessories, and so showing off art of the second set series, you can assume that those are going to be cards, like getting the Rancor, getting the Black Saber, getting Kylo as a leader, Ren, Mando. So, yeah, I think it'll be cool. I'm excited. But I feel like that's enough Star Wars.
He
Unless
definitely
you
talked about all of it.
I talked about all of it. I hit all the points.
Do you want to talk about the market data we uncovered?
Yeah, we can.
So this was brought up, I think, by Kitchen Table TCG. Is that right?
No.
No, I think they did bring it up.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It looks like Star Wars sold quite thoroughly compared to other sets, and what they brought up was heavy hitters. I don't know if they called out heavy hitters specifically, but when you go and look at the data, it's pretty dramatic. It's pretty dramatic. Now, granted, Star Wars is a brand new game, brand new set, known IP, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right?
Wider audience, had a marketing push. I was getting YouTube ads for this game.
That's funny. A lot of people said there was almost no marketing push by comparison to other games.
Baloney, I got all of it.
I think they might be comparing it to what's the one with the QR codes? Because that one was freaking everywhere, and that was a ridiculous marketing push. But point being, and I kind of lean in your direction because Asmodee knows how to push games. Like that's literally their business, right?
And when I went to Dark Depths, the amount of stuff that they sent, like cardboard cutout stands and posters and all this stuff to the game to promote the game.
Yeah, but isn't that well, okay, yeah, okay.
That's part of marketing. Yes.
Yeah, it is. I'm just wondering how much of that was requested because that guy is a super fan.
No, every store got it. Every store got one of these kits.
Okay.
That was hosting a pre-release event. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. But anyway, so if you look at the data, it's dramatic. So again, first set, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yes.
But 30 days past release, which is if you count pre-release, we are, not really there yet, I don't think, for Star Wars.
No.
From pre-sale, maybe we're close. It says it's 3.8. Yeah, no, we're not even close. Good God.
No.
Yeah. So in 2 weeks, it sold 5,820 boxes for a total of about 500,000, a little bit less, 431, versus Heavy Hitters, which is released on 2/2, so it is past its 30 days. So this is a full data set for that. Sold 1,179. This is all TCG player data. 1,179, 147,000. Now, granted, Heavy Hitters is released internationally, right? So every other country too, and none of this data reflects that. But if you take a sliver of data and it's equal in everything else, i.e., TCG players only sold to the US, so this is equal for US sales, blah, blah, blah. It's a fair enough comparison.
Yeah.
If anything, it leans as a disadvantage for Star Wars because it hasn't even been out 30 days.
Right.
And it has like 5 times the box sales. And 3 times the dollar amount.
Yeah.
And then you throw in that Heavy Hitters, that 800 sales in January was that crazy front page kit
bundle with the Blitz decks.
Yeah, came with Blitz decks as well for the price of the box. And now you're like, oh man, Heavy Hitters really, this good set didn't do well.
I love Heavy Hitters too. It's a great set.
It's a good set. Like a lot of people love it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. So, and its sales are just really low compared to this. And then, you think about it, we started looking at it because Tommy and I were discussing and trying to figure out things and whatever. Yeah, we do. We talk about cards all the time, even when we're not in front of a microphone talking about it.
This is just when we turn it on at one point in the week.
Yeah, it took about a year for Tommy to convince me to just stop not putting it in front of a microphone because you're basically doing it anyways. He's like, just put a mic in front of your face and we'll just do what we do all the time. I was like, all right, fine.
Because we were having these 2-hour long conversations.
Yes, exactly. He's like, just record it.
Yeah.
But then you go back and you compare to like Dusk Till Dawn and 30-day comparison. Again, they've both been out for 30 days, Heavy Hitters, Dusk Till Dawn, and Dusk Till Dawn did better too.
Mm-hmm.
Sold more boxes, and again, without the 800 pre-sale shenanigans, and just shy of the dollar amount. It's 144,000 versus 147. So it's like I think Rudy came out with a video today or yesterday that was basically like U.S. sales are up, things are going well, and I don't know what he was looking at. I listened to the whole video. He said, I'm not going to pump specific cards,
No.
but if you go to most sold on TCG Player, or sorry, most expensive on TCG Player, it's pretty easy to pick out the things that are pumping. I'm not really seeing it. So, and I do the weekly box data.
Yeah.
I don't think he was talking about boxes. I think he was talking about singles.
He was talking about
very
single
big.
staples, which in my head referred to Command and Conquer, which is up a little bit, Art of War, which isn't, and E-Strike, which isn't.
Are you sure he was talking about that? Because I don't think he knows what staples are in.
That's well, in the verbiage he used. That's what popped into my head.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that was your interpretation of his
Yeah.
very vague statement.
Because he
was
doesn't
being
know
very
singles.
vague.
He doesn't.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, but he was saying something was going crazy, and I'm not seeing it. I don't know what he's talking about.
They're holding.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing's like crazy. If anything, I'd say there's a bit of a discount on Heart of Findell right now. It's down to $290. So you can kind of get that for cheaper than it has been in the past.
I guess it's up a little. It did get back down to $250, didn't it?
Was it at one point?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't track it. Yeah, it's up a tiny.
It really likes that 250.
270.
It keeps coming back to that. Yeah.
Let's see if there's any sales that low recently. Yeah, there's a few sales back in January at 250 range. Yeah. So yeah, it's in that kind of range. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't think he was just pumping things. I think he's getting messages from people and he's relaying it. That's what he said, and I believe him because it didn't sound like he really knew what he was talking about. So that is often Rudy's way. No offense to him, but he's got bigger fish to fry than watching every single on every game he deals with, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's just unfortunate. You look at this data, and it's I still have a ton of stuff on my shelf. When we first talked about this, I was like, I don't want to talk about this on the podcast because all my stuff is still on the shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to debase our value, but at the same time, I don't want to hide stuff from our listeners. So I think it's worth bringing up. It's just it's sad. It's unfortunate. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I think if we get a PvE format that really sticks, like what's it called, Dual Suns or Commander.
Yeah.
We might be in a different boat in a few years because singles will start going more. And hopefully, like the yellows will actually be worth it. The cardboard they're printed on, things like that might start happening, which changes the market dynamics dramatically. But the reality is, it's not at that point right now. And if you're following my market updates, we just had a market where basically everything was down. So on the boxes, so I don't really see it happening soon. Short of they announced PvE and it has some details that get people excited again.
Yeah, I think it's just in a slump, but I think we have to remember that this is just a slice of the pie. It is TCG Player. It is telling of a story, but it's not the whole story. We have to remember that a lot of boxes of Flesh and Blood do actually move through LGSs. And a lot of boxes just they aren't recorded on TCG Player. And also all the international community that is growing at a much more rapid pace than the US is, I think, right now.
Well, I think what he was saying is that reverse, that they're in a slump internationally and that the US is picking up. I'm just not seeing the signs that the US is picking up.
No, I've heard Europe is still growing, and I've heard that Asia's blowing up.
Yeah, I heard that a while ago. I haven't heard that recently. So I don't know how true or whatever any of that is, honestly. And we have no data on that, so there's no real point in debating it. But I don't think LGS data is separate from TCG Player because most of TCG Player is LGSs, right?
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying it's telling
a blind spot. Yeah, but I think this is somewhat representative of LGSs because I would assume the majority of LGSs sell on TCG Player extra stock. They don't want it to be their main place of sales,
right?
But it does. It's basically the backlog, the extras, and so that does give us a picture of kind of the US LGS health in a particular game. I don't know.
100%. Yeah, and especially when you just compare it to other games and just see what other games are doing.
Yeah,
and because it's not in the same ballpark.
Like, unlike something like Pokemon, where I could agree with you that it's not just LGSs. LSS only allows boxes to be bought by brick and mortar, right?
Right.
So I think because of LSS's policies, it's actually more representative of LGS's than a lot of games that there's other ways around it, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because of their policy. So that's why I think I think this market is pretty reflective of actually brick and mortar stores out there. I just don't know, what percentage. It could be 10%, it could be 90%. We don't know. So you're right about that. There's a blind spot on like sales at the day of, drafts and things like that. None of that's going to get recorded in this. But either way, either comparing across sets or comparing across games, it's not the best. It's not the best on a very good set. As far as I've heard, completely considered a very good set.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunate. My boxes cry on the shelf. I still think they'll be worth something more in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think the game's going anywhere.
No, I think the game has sticking power and it'll stay around. And I do think PvE will be a boon to boost it up. But yeah, I think it's one of those games that it's very difficult to onboard new players still.
Yeah. Yep. They cycle out after so much time because people get bored, they play too long, they get burnt out, whatever. For all the reasons things happen.
Yeah, the average card player sticks around for a game 2 to 3 years. That's what I've done with Fab. And I'm struggling to stay motivated. Like I enjoy playing Fab with my group. I enjoy the friends I've made in it. But the actual game itself, I feel like I've seen it. You know what I mean? Like I've been there, done that.
We're novelty seekers as humans. We want something exciting and new. That's why everyone gets hyped around new sets, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's hard to stay motivated to keep up on it right now. But I mean, again, like it comes in cycles. There'll be another Warrior set down the road that I'll get excited about. But just like looking ahead, like the next set, there's no. Like this set had Kasai in it. This set had.
I know. That's what's.
This was like, my set.
Everyone says it's a very good set. Everyone's really excited for how good it is, but the sales data does not reflect that excitement.
Right.
So, and I think it's partially people are like, let's just buy singles,
Absolutely.
And so we have a different market for this game, and it's designed that way by the founders and what they've chosen to do with the market, and that's where we are. So we'll see what happens over the next few years. Yeah. I don't think it's a problem though. Like so if I were to ask, if someone was asked me, do you think it'll make it past the 7-year kind of mark, which is a typical kill point for a lot of TCGs? I think it will. I wonder how big it will be at that point. And I think that is entirely dependent on support for onboarding products, whatever they are.
Yeah. I mean, those new CC decks.
Yep. That could be something. PV could be something. There's a lot of different ways it could be something. And I'm not the game designer or the company, so I can't speak to it, like, because they have internal data that just gives them better answers to these questions. But, what will look like, I think it depends on that. Like these other products, these other things, there's other ways to onboard players. Because I think you have natural attrition, and if you aren't at a replacement level population, then you're declining.
Right.
And that means declining sales and declining print runs and declining. And when that happens, it has an impact. Now they're private, so they don't have shareholder pressures, right?
Good. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. That means they can weather storms better than most. But when you get to a certain volume decrease, your printer doesn't want you to do your print run because it's not worth the money. Right. So it does become an issue, or it costs so much per box that it basically becomes completely unsustainable. So you do have to have some sort of critical mass. Again, I don't have the data. I don't know the number, but you have to have some critical mass to make it make sense. And we'll see if they can keep that critical mass up to a point where it doesn't harm the game. I think they can. I believe they can. We'll just have to see, though.
Yeah.
Other market news.
Fallout's back to normal.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? What's normal?
Oh, back down to it's not continuing to go up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's cooling off a bit. It's not available anywhere though.
No.
I mean, like the single boxes are and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's at 384
Oh,
plus
is
10
it?
shipping.
Never mind.
Yeah, plus it's still at 400 basically.
Yeah.
It's just the shipping cost
I
is.
checked it the other day and it was like 360 something.
I did. I saw it
Yeah.
down in the 50, 60 range too. So it's definitely that was definitely happening for a moment, but
Yeah.
I think that's just the post-release slump that happens. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Magic is doing its thing. Universes Beyond seems to be hard to come by generally, but really desired. And I think when you look at historic stuff, it looks like some reserve list functional cards seem to be
Mhm.
the hot spot, and money's dumping into them, which is funny because it's kind of where I was looking to dump my money into, and I didn't quite get there in time.
Yeah.
It looks like the market beat me, and it's super annoying. It means everyone's looking at the same data as me, so I got to be faster than I am, which is fine. I'm not steeped in this. This is
Yeah.
a for fun hobby, not
Right.
a day
Right.
job. I'm not Rudy, right? Like I
Right.
don't do this every day, all the time. So point being, it looks like that's happening. So we're seeing anything that's reserve list and very functional in Commander seems to be spiking at this point. And it's not vertical, but it's definitely 45-day hardcore uptrend. So, some things have gained as much as 50%, I think, even more in some specific cases.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. And then we'll see where Star Wars Unlimited settles in 90 days.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna be really interesting.
See how the collectibles collect. They
Yeah.
definitely have collectibles.
Yeah, the
and you have
showcases are wild.
that wider market, right? So I think there's definitely going to be a separation on the collectibles. Like I do think there'll be a premium.
Yeah. And people are buying them.
Yeah, and but again, let's see 90
Yeah,
days. Let's see
right,
what that looks
absolutely,
like and
absolutely.
where it settles out because we're still in week 1. So, but it does look good because it is Star Wars, and like we said before, like there's people that collect Star Wars just for Star Wars. They don't care what it is,
Right.
and so they will be buying some of these and putting them on a shelf with their, Star Wars figures, Star Wars McDonald's toys, Star Wars, comic books, whatever, everything. So.
Yeah, and some of these showcases, there's only like a few listings. Like Leia has 2 listings.
I believe it. I think some of them are going to basically be impossible to find.
Yeah.
And I think Leia's obviously got the waifu tax or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the original waifu, right?
Right? Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's the original back in the 70s. Yeah. So yeah, of course. That's going to be hard to come by.
Yeah. Fett's still at the top, over $500. But
yeah, I'm curious how that market evolves because it will. And the question is like, kind of, does it diverge? Is it very specific? I
think it's one, he's one of the best decks.
Okay.
And 2,
is it player driven? Is it just
player driven?
Like,
and it's also, in my opinion, the best looking one.
Okay. Yeah, the art's going to matter, and there's definitely some anger at some of the art, and there's definitely some cool art in there as well. In my opinion, I liked there was a lot I liked. I don't know. Yeah. People were like, I'm like, no, I actually kind of like that.
And the reason I think it's meta driven is because you do have Aiden and Sabine up there as well.
Okay.
The one that's surprising is Han because he's not very good, but he's at 250.
But it's Han.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is there's collectors and but then you have IG88, who's the worst leader. He's the lowest, second lowest.
Well, got it. Yeah. No one knows who he is. Well, I guess you do if you watch Mando, but no one really knows who he is, and also he's not good in the game.
What's interesting is that Event Vader that I got is up to $70. So even like the early demo stuff, promos are going up.
Gotcha.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Just see how it all comes together.
And the hyperspace cards are demanding like a premium, which is
yes. And I'm sure the hyperspace foils will be even more of a premium, which I like.
I think those are mispriced right now.
Too low, too high.
Too low.
Huh. Yeah, I could see that because they're very rare.
Yeah, because it's very hard to pull them.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing it, even though that really got me to think about doing it a second there.
Yeah.
I'm mostly trying to convince myself I'm not doing it.
If they were a distro, would you have ordered more?
If they're a distro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually
Yeah.
trying to
I
order some.
know.
That's
Yeah.
how I found out there was none available.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would absolutely. I was gonna get 2 cases of it,
Yeah.
but that was not possible.
Well, we can
Um,
keep our eyes out for June.
yeah, it's okay. Like I don't really need to get it, and it's probably better it wasn't available because frankly I don't need it. I
No.
got so much stuff on my shelves.
Yeah.
So my fallback was to just go buy a box or two from our local store, which I haven't gotten around to doing because I'm still like, do I really? I could probably just wait 8 months, after it's boring, and get it
Yeah.
for a good discount. Like that should be the move. So I'll probably do that.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
we
that's a
shall
good
see
call.
that.
Yeah. Because like I said, think about it. You have a lot of influx of Lorcana people. They came in, they probably bought a bunch of boxes like they did Lorcana because they saw the boxes were cheap and available. And now you have the same thing happening, but the prices aren't going up, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that. The trade discords.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that was so funny though. What was it? What was that one? Was that Twitter or Facebook you sent me?
Facebook. I joined
Yeah.
the buy sell trade Facebook group for it.
Yeah, this is what started the whole conversation.
Yeah.
We saw this and we're like, "What?"
Yeah, just all these people being like willing to trade Fab for Star Wars.
Yeah, everywhere. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm seeing that all over the purple Discord because I was looking at moving some of my Fab product through the Discord, and I was looking at trades. I'm like, give me magic stuff, like give me staples and stuff that I need, and I'll trade some Fab for it. That's what I was going in there for. And
Yeah.
it was like, there's so many Star Wars requests. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Game's
People
fun,
moving
John.
from Fab
Game's
to
fun.
Star Wars.
Game's fun. I don't know.
I find that so strange though. Fab and Star Wars just do not feel like they fit. As far as like the gameplay, the tightness of the mechanics, the structure.
Out of your nerd friends that would play Flesh and Blood, how many
Star
of
Wars
them
fans?
like Star Wars?
Well, that's unfair.
John.
Yeah, I mean you're right, but it's like that's like saying out of your nerd friends, how many are nerd friends? Like
Yeah,
it's that's a
exactly.
1-to-1 ratio. All my nerd friends like Star Wars. I don't know
Exactly.
anyone that doesn't.
Exactly.
Except one person who prefers Star Trek.
Sure.
That's the only person I know that isn't a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure that that's a fair comparison exactly.
I'm just saying that there are a lot of Star Wars fans out there. And
yeah, so what games is it pulling from? It's obviously pulling from Lorcana. You saw it. We're seeing it from Fab just in the trades.
Yeah.
Is it pulling from Magic? I imagine so, right?
I've seen
there's still people angry at Magic.
Yeah, there was a very long Reddit thread asking specifically for Magic players to chime in on how they're liking Star Wars. So it left it open-ended to be either way. And obviously they're on the Star Wars subreddit, so they're interested in playing. And it was mostly positive, and the big thing was being able to get quicker games.
Oh, that's totally fair.
And that it was the best of 3 was actually doable, which is huge. And I think will become it. I know I've expressed concern about it, but I think it will get better the more people play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to get through the games pretty quick. And that is the one critique that I've seen that most people have is how draws are handled. Real quick, if the clock ends and you're on game 2 still, whoever won game 1 wins the round.
Interesting.
Then if you're on game 3, if you finish out the next action phase, and then if there's no winner after that, then you both lose. If you were 1-1 and in game 3.
Yeah, that I can see.
Yeah,
why people aren't excited about that.
Yeah, so you either want to as a control deck you want to win game 1 and then draw out game 2 to the clock, I guess.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem great.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No,
that's not great.
But yeah, it did seem like they were pulling in a lot of Magic people, and they did like the quicker rounds, and they liked. I think the other key thing that stood out was just the benefit of it being only one set and it not being overly complex. And so that you don't have all of these, like in standard right now in Magic, you have how many sets and how many keywords and how many like things you need to be aware of. And in this, it's much simpler. So I think people are just enjoying the simple aspect of the limited card pool of one set.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
And honeymoon period of a new game, all those things
Of
add up
course.
to
Yeah, I'll
being
play in.
positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, since we talked about Fab and market comparisons on releases, let's go ahead and do the exercise we got to by the end of our previous conversation. Spark of the Rebellion, great release, really doing well, crushing heavy hitters. Oh, doing better than heavy hitters, right? Like, oh my God, it's great. Well, we went and compared it to the shittiest Magic release ever that we could imagine. So first, it did March of Machines. It sold 2,000 more boxes, and March of Machines was universally thought to be a garbage product that no one liked. And it sold almost 3 times, a little bit less, 2.5 times as much in cash value. And then when we were sitting there chatting, I was like, wait, I have a better one. Murders at Karlov Manor. It was more than double the boxes and about 500,000 more in sales. So yeah, Magic is still king.
Wait, you said half as many boxes?
No, twice as many boxes.
Yeah, so Star Wars was half as...
Was a little bit bit less than 6,000, and this was just shy, like 80 shy of 12,000 for Murders at Karlov. Now, Murders also had a front page VS pump. But
Star Wars does have those ads.
Star Wars had the front page pump too. There was a MVP sale as well. So they both had that. So yeah, in 30 days, Karlov Manor doubled Star Wars.
Yeah, which I mean, to be fair, Star Wars hasn't had the 30 days. Yeah. It's Magic. And that's the one thing that we have to remember with all of these games that we talk about is perspective.
Yeah,
Magic
that's a really
is
good
still
point
king.
about the lack of
Magic is,
I mean, let's see in 30 days if it actually beats Karlov. That will be impressive.
Right.
I will be very impressed.
That would be crazy.
Which actually seems reasonable or possible. We'll say maybe not reasonable.
If supply holds.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Supply is going to strangle these numbers. Yeah. Yeah. They may have messed up on this a little bit. Or did they? Maybe the hype is a good thing,
I think honestly,
it'll basically guarantee set 2 sells.
Yes. Yeah.
So, which is important.
And then I think the pre-order sales for set 2 will be much higher than the pre-order sales for set 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, which helps stores and all that stuff. So, actually, this might be a good way to play set 1, right? Yeah. They don't care about their comparison to March of the Machines, right?
No,
they care about surviving to set 7, right?
Yes.
And that requires hype in the beginning. So yeah, maybe this is the play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a wild time.
It is.
Again, perspective is important here in that Magic's not going anywhere. Magic is still huge. Magic is still the king when it comes to players and boxes selling.
Yep.
But
I'm actually interested to see how this whole, I'm calling it in my head like wave 2 new TCGs, right? Because you had the wave 1 in the pandemic and there were a lot of like indies and really just trying to figure it out companies. And now you have wave 2, which is like well-established companies getting involved that know how to do everything around the logistics, the printing, like they have the industry contacts and connections to do it right. Often led by very good designers that have a background in designing as opposed to somebody in their garage just figured out how to design a game sort of thing. Which, to be fair, Fab was someone that was well-versed coming in and doing it. They were actually pre-pandemic, if you think about it. But
they started, they came out in 2019, which is pre-pandemic. And
everyone
working
sees
on
them
the
as
game 7 years before that.
Yeah, everyone sees it as pandemic because that's kind of where the hype bubble happened, but it was here beforehand. Which, if the pandemic didn't happen, would we have had Fab? Like, would it have worked at all?
Yeah, I think Fab would be stronger. I think it wouldn't have lost those early set years of LGS play.
Yeah, but think about every card game that came out in the decade before the pandemic. they basically all had a few sets and died.
Yeah.
They were all very, very tiny, and they never really grew very high.
I think Fab's strong enough of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely had trouble with the distros, you know?
Sure. But maybe did that distro issue happen?
Well, it happened because I think he got past it and survived it because of the 2020 hype, not because of anything else. Like without that, I wonder if it would even exist right now. Because if you think, like, again, go back to the 10 years previous, we had,
Right. Sure.
was it Star Wars Legion or whatever that one card game was? Like we've had
Destiny.
a dozen.
Destiny is very different. Destiny's also a dice game.
We've had a dozen card games that have failed in the decade before that.
Yeah.
So what made Fab wasn't gonna fail when all these larger Asmodee, Fantasy Flight, etc. had put out card games that did fail?
The competitive nature. Magic was still pre-pandemic moving away from the competitive scene.
That didn't actually happen until the pandemic.
I had friends that were in it and talked about it, how that Magic wasn't putting as much into it pre-pandemic before.
Okay, because all the announcements in the shutdown happened during the pandemic.
Yes, yeah.
Now, maybe they were not showing a lot of
right.
sped it up or something. Yeah, got it.
Like it was winding down.
Yeah,
and moving to online because Arena had already been out. Those dominoes had already been set into motion, and then pandemic kind of sealed it. And then that really allowed Flesh and Blood to come in and take that, but I think it would have happened either way.
Yeah, that's the big question. Well, I don't know if it's a big question. It's just an interesting thought to like, because the pandemic caused the hype, that definitely gave them a heck of a lot more revenue and runway, right? To work with.
I don't know if we'd be seeing this wave 2 of new games.
We definitely would not. No, this is all pandemic based.
Yeah.
Like even the first wave, your Grand Archives and Sorcery and all that stuff. I guess Sorcery's wave 1, right? Yeah, probably. I'd call that wave 1. It's the end of wave 1. All that stuff was pandemic based, right? And then this wave 2 is like, oh my God, people care about TCGs again. So it's all the big companies saying we can do this, but they're slower, so they take longer to get to market. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting summer because now is like the peak time, right?
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch the markets again.
Yeah, I guess spring will be a peak time, and then summer people go on vacation and stuff. But
yeah, there's
spring
it's early
and fall.
Summer is still part of the game time, but like late summer is definitely like forget about it.
Yeah,
no one's around.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to see where Star Wars is at in 30 days and then where it's at in 90 days. Because 90 days we'll be pushing spoilers for the second set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be almost out actually at that point, right? Isn't it July?
July is the set.
Yeah, so 90 days is June.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then third set, Twilight of the Republic in November. Which I'm hoping is going to be like, I hope they do Old Republic stuff. Or like, sorry, High Republic.
Oh, like way back?
Way back. Because they said they were referencing comics and stuff. And that's where the next set of movies is going to be. And you would imagine that they're talking and correlating something.
Probably.
Because that's what they do. That's what Fantasy Flight does with Legion. That's what...
these are big companies, and this is how they do,
Yeah. They have the inside knowledge. They are trusted with the secrets of upcoming things. And can prepare things to align with. Man, this got me reading Star Wars comics again, and I'm down the hole, John.
You're lost. You're doomed.
If you are a listener and have made it this far and are following me down this hole, joining me in this hole, leave a comment. I'm just
Let
curious.
him know he's not alone.
Let me know I'm not alone and that someone else is also falling down this Star Wars rabbit hole. It happens to me multiple times a year. I fall off the Star Wars wagon, and then I just get back on, and then I fall off, and then I get back on.
It's just a great IP. I love
It's a great
revisiting
IP.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like I was saying in the beginning, like I'm in love with Magic again, but I'll fall off again.
Oh, of
Like
course.
I know I
Yeah.
will. I don't care. This is I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy it while I enjoy it. When I don't, I'm go on and do something else. No,
Yeah.
no
I'll
harm,
have
no
your
foul.
I'll have your Star Wars singles for when you're ready.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I will play some Star Wars. I will
Yeah.
definitely do that with you. And I can even see myself coming back to Fab given certain things. Like
Oh, I'm
if
not stopping playing Fab.
I know you're not, but I have, and I will come back. Like
Yeah.
I don't see it as I'm never touching that game again.
Yeah.
That is definitely not where I'm at. I'm not interested in relearning and getting sharp on it again because my brain is too scattered with other things.
Just do drafts with us.
It again, I'm not interested right now.
Yeah.
I will be
No.
at some point.
That's what I mean when you come back. Like,
Oh yeah, that's always an easy.
It's
way.
always
I
an
love
easy way to
drafting.
just hop in. Yeah.
Yeah, that was always.
You don't
my
need
favorite
to. You don't need to
anyways.
keep up with decks. You don't need to. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, it's all cyclical.
Yeah. And
That's how
I mean,
I do
my perspective of Fab is realizing that I don't need every card. I just need every warrior card,
it.
and I'll be good.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It makes the game way more affordable. It makes it more fun to play because I have the cards I want.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's just fun. Yeah, definitely want to make it clear that I'm still playing Fab, still on Kasai. May switch back to Dory. We'll see. Dory's a menace. There's this new Hatchet Dory out. Holy moly, with Blade Flurry. Let's go. But yeah. Yeah, I might check that out. But for right now, I got to prep for Star Wars on Tuesday. So looking forward to that. And I'll talk about that next week because that'll be my first constructed event premiere.
Cool.
See how that goes.
Talk about it next week.
Yeah, my friend Brian's going to be able to make it. And I built him the Sabine deck. So he's going to be rocking that. And I'm going to be on Boba or Iden. Haven't decided yet. Probably decide there. Probably Boba just because I don't want to be that control guy. Because that deck is pretty wild. They're both pretty wild. But yeah. It'll be fun. But anything else until our next video?
Nope.
Cool. Well, until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.